the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. A former Israeli soldier creates an international disturbance on Facebook, the convict rabbi on the cover of the New York Post, and exploring the future of Jewish nonprofits with leaders in social media. It's the Jewish news that's changing your world on this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. Calling President Barack Obama a Nazi for his tax policies, a senator getting a pie in the face for his positions on Israel, a convicted molester and rabbi getting special kosher meals in prison, and photos of an Israeli soldier with blindfolded Palestinian prisoners on Facebook. It's a week of weird news in the Jewish world that suggests the summer heat may be getting a bit too much to bear. The week started with a bold front cover from the New York Post on Sunday about one convicted child molester currently serving a 32-year sentence on Rikers Island, who received not just the average kosher meal provided by the prison, but one hand-delivered by an on-duty jail captain. The report says that Rabbi Baruch Leibovitz, a Satmar Chassid, who was convicted of repeatedly sexually abusing his son's 16-year-old classmate, wouldn't eat the standard kosher meal provided by the prison because it's lacking a higher level of rabbinic supervision. In another story of food interjecting into Jewish issues, one of the Jewish stalwarts in the Senate, six-term Senator Carl Levin of Michigan, received a pie in the face this week from pro-Palestinian protesters. Levin is chairman of the Armed Services Committee, and the young woman who tossed the pastry was arrested on charges of assault and disorderly conduct. In another example of a youngster treating her elders with disrespect over Middle East issues, another episode of bad international PR for Israel was launched by a former Israeli soldier who posted photos on Facebook of herself posing with blindfolded and handcuffed Palestinian prisoners. The uproar over the photos led the former soldier Eden Abergil to remove the photos, but not before they spread worldwide and led to comparisons of Israeli soldiers with the U.S. soldiers who committed abuses of Iraqi detainees at Abu Ghraib and posted pictures of that to the internet. Abergil suggested in interviews that those comparisons were inappropriate, saying, "I did not humiliate those detainees, I didn't hit them, I didn't act toward them unpleasantly. It's completely different than the American soldier some are trying to compare me to." While it's unclear if Abergil, as a former soldier, will face any repercussions for her actions, the Israeli Defense Forces posted a video response denouncing the photos and declaring
that this act in no way, shape, or form reflects the spirit of the IDF, our ethical code to which we all aspire.
While Abergil thinks that comparisons being made of her are inappropriate, just imagine how President Barack Obama feels after being compared to Adolf Hitler by Jewish billionaire Steven Schwartzman because of the president's tax policies. Speaking of attempts to increase taxes on private equity firms like Schwartzman's Blackstone Group, the billionaire said, "It's a war. It's like when Hitler invaded Poland in 1939. Schwartzman apologized for how he characterized the president, but said he continues to protest the tax changes for private equity firms. So, with all of this news of extreme goings-on in the Jewish world, where can we find a source of moderation this week? You might be surprised to hear that the best example can be found in the Israeli rabbinate. A relative moderate was appointed to head the rabbinical courts last Friday after an attempt to push through several chosen candidates of the ultra-Orthodox failed. Rabbi Shlomo Dukowski is known in part for challenging rulings by major ultra-Orthodox leaders like Rabbi Yosef Shalom Elyashiv. Moving on from the future of the Israeli rabbinical courts to a more domestic concern for the Jewish community, what is the future of Jewish nonprofits? That's the question posed by the first in a series of conferences that hopes to provide guidance on what younger generations will bring to the table in creating the organizational Jewish future. The Future of Jewish Nonprofit Summit is scheduled to have conferences in Boston and Washington, D.C. over the next 6 months. Its kickoff conference was recently held in New York, and Christian Needon was there.
There's no question that today's Jewish youth are using newer means of getting involved.
Twitter, Facebook,
online presence, e-philanthropy,
social networking,
mobile presence, social media.
And that difference goes deeper than just the distinction between getting one's Jewish information from newsprint instead of a mobile device. Organizing through social media also means that the donors of the past want to be the volunteers of today. It's a change that large Jewish organizations like the Jewish Federations of North America are trying to capture.
Society has changed a great deal over the last many years, where we're much more individualistic, much less group-oriented, much more interested in going to pick coffee beans rather than contribute a fund to go help the people who are picking the coffee beans. And so it's that engagement, particularly with younger individuals under age 30, under age 35, where we have a challenge to make the Jewish communal world, to make Jewish nonprofits relevant to their lives.
But even smaller, newer organizations are still adjusting to this different environment.
I mean, definitely I'm one of the only people in my office that really believes in that volunteers can do anything. They can run a major event. They could run our annual benefit. They could, design talking points on the most controversial issue that their, opinions could be useful at any number of places. Not everyone on everything, but that individuals with talent can be given that. And I think there's not enough of an attitude of volunteer placement when we talk about engagement.
That need to understand how younger generations are planning a Jewish future is what led Dave Weinberg, executive director of the Jewish Institute, to assemble innovators and professionals under one roof to share ideas for this first Future of Jewish Nonprofits Summit.
I spent the past 6 months bringing in the best speakers I could find, the best brands, the best ideas and technologies to the table in a Jewish environment so that we can learn from different people, so that we can learn from outside organizations, what people are doing in text messaging, what people are doing in brand world and crisis management, airlines, what people are doing in all kinds of different ways that we weren't experiencing, and how you could take that idea and use it for our own organizations.
What are some of those ideas, and how are organizations using them to get ahead? Tune into the full broadcast version of the Week in Review for details.
Thank you, Christian. That's all for this week. For more news and analysis from the Jewish Channel during the week, please check out our blog at newsdesk.tjctv.com. From all of us here at the Jewish Channel, be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable: IO Optimum Cable Channel 291, Time Warner Cable Channel 528, RCN Channel 268, Verizon Fios Channel 900, and Cox Cable Channel 1. For more information, visit tjctv.com.